Good morning, students, and welcome to spring quarter at Kendall College at National Louis University. This is Management 339, Leading Change, and is really all about the change management process in organizations of varying types. This first week, you're just going to get an overview of the course and some general principles that we'll be talking about later as throughout the 10 weeks. And also I'll point you to some activities that you'll need to address as the week goes on. So it's important to understand that leadership must address change. It's a constant in today's business environment, and this course is really about how you learn about that. One of the many of the things we're going to be doing will be readings and case studies and some guest speakers. But you'll also do this simulation that will start in about the midpoint in the course that also will illuminate a lot of these issues and how they play out in real time. You will also do some readings, and we'll do some discussions online as well as some activities on the discussion board. In week one, you have some readings to do. First, there's a reading called Change and Resistance that you'll be responding to on the discussion board. There is some background work that you should do to understand the simulation. There's a how to play and foreground reading. They're both posted in D2L in the week one folder, and they're also available from the simulation website. So once you sign up, you can access those documents there. Then there's an assignment which involves developing a gap analysis for the organization that we're going to be doing the simulation about. So you need to be able to read about the company, which is called Spectrum Sunglasses, so that you can do the gap analysis. So it's really important that if you don't have access to the simulation yet, those materials are in the week one folder posted, but it's important that you get those soon. So thinking about change, it's important to realize that it's many things, including it is common, it's fast and slow, it's sudden and deliberate. We're in a world right now where it's obvious that, change sometimes is foisted upon us. Is it something to be managed or kept pace with? It's both, really. You have to manage these big changes, and you also have to be aware of what changes can occur so you can be managing with those in mind. Can it improve your performance or hurt your performance? Well, in some situations, if you think about what's happening now, you can see that it's a detractor for many businesses, but it can also, for some businesses, make them think of new ways to get things done and enhance their performance. Is it an opportunity or a threat? I mean, that's basically the same thing I just said. There's both sides of the coin. What can you find in a change situation that will be an opportunity to be better? So there's two types of change, planned and unplanned change. Planned change is slow evolution, driven by internal forces, incremental, meaning little pieces at a time. Unplanned change is often revolutionary, rapid, and urgent, and driven by outside forces such as new technology, government regulation, social attitudes, economic turbulence, globalization, and obviously in our current situation, it could even be medical. There are examples of companies that have responded to the changing environment with new models. Airbnb they are also models that are forcing others to change and are driving changes in other kinds of businesses. So Airbnb is affecting our hotel industry. Amazon is affecting all retail. And these are some craft beers that make you think about how the beverage industry has been changed as a result of different attitudes and desires in that product category. Where there are forces for change, there are also forces for resisting change. So that's where management has to take a role. You will read this change and resistance article, and you will discuss that on the discussion board about why do people resist change, and what are the emotional causes of resistance, and what other things can play a role in resisting change. And then as the course moves on, we'll look at how to overcome that resistance, how to make an argument that helps people understand the potential benefits as of that change, as well as the costs, because people overestimate the costs and underestimate the benefits. We'll also talk about urgency. How does urgency play a role? And here is where the leadership um, question comes in. What's the power and credibility of the change agent, the person who is leading the change? How do people, do they believe him? How do they regard that person? And finally, what's the receptivity of change targets, meaning the people that you're trying to help move towards the change? What's their emotional mindset and their current existence and experience, and how do you address those? So please look at the how to play also on the simulation, and that'll get you familiar with what you're going to be doing over the course of the course. Also, there are two types of change that we'll be really focusing on: reactive change and proactive change. And what that means is reactive change is closing a performance gap. You're looking at what is and what should be. Our company is here, but it could be so much better. Proactive change, is what should be. Closing the performance gap is there is somebody else ahead of us doing a much better job, and we're going to try to catch up with them. Hence the visual of the race. Proactive change is closing an opportunity gap. That is, we see that there's potential in a certain area, and we want to close that gap. So how do you know that? You have to diagnose the need for change. And the need for change is, for instance, a good story of this was IBM back in the 1990s. The company was nearly driven out of business by all the innovation that was going on in the computer industry. And they needed to undergo many, many changes in order to get that company caught up with where the rest of the industry was, and then also looking ahead to emerging opportunities. That now IBM sells server space and a whole variety of consulting services that would not have been possible in their previous iteration. So how do you do this? How do you know what a gap is? This is one of your assignments is how do you perform a gap analysis? And basically a gap analysis is just comparing where your current performance is and what your desired performance is, and what the factors are that are responsible for the gap, and coming up with ways to remedy those factors that might be causing the gap. So I'm going to come back and do another little video for you on how to conduct the gap analysis, going through the material that's posted in your Module 1 folder. But this is your assignment, and it will be due at the end of the week. Additionally, you need to read the foreground reading so that you become familiar with the organization and its background, because the gap analysis will be performed on the foreground reading. So you need to understand what the business is, what its current markets and conditions are, and what kind of change they are requiring. I will be back with you on another video, but I hope this is a good basic overview of the first week, and I wish you luck. And if I can help you in any way, feel free to reach out to me by email. That's dpopley@nl.edu.